Mate selection of the undeveloped female. What is the strategy that women in general employ when selecting a mate? What is their relationship strategy in terms of mate selection? Did you ever think about that? Basically, all centered on their incapacity, their lack of knowledge, their inability to identify what a male actually is, what a healthy male actually is. Their inability to identify the two male personality types in wanting to have expectations of a particular personality type that particular personality type is unable to deliver, and their sheer ignorance of what a man actually is. What is the strategy that women in general employ when selecting a mate? What is their relationship strategy in terms of mate selection? Did you ever think about that? There's two things involved here. I call them, one, personality indeterminism, and two, sexual indeterminism. These are terms that I have coined. These are my terms. And it basically means that a woman does not engage in determining, strangely enough, a man's sexuality or his personality. They're too preoccupied with themselves in order to focus in the individual in front of them. That's how amazing this is. Very often, women end up with homosexuals. Very often, women end up with severe type B males because of their lack of attention given to determining a man's personality and even sexuality. Personality indeterminism and sexual indeterminism. Those are two things that women fail at from the very beginning. And then you ask yourself, why? How could this be? How could this be? And you know the answer. As amazing as it is, as riveting as this is to a healthy male, women don't care. They don't really care because they're concentrating completely and fully on utility. They don't care about the individual, who that individual is with them, who they're with, who's in front of them. Because it's objectified. It's not an individual. He's objectified. He's only evaluated based on utility, be it material utility or emotional utility. Who it is, amazingly, curiously, does not matter. That's the female sexual strategy, relationship strategy. This all has to do with a woman's absolute self-absorption, which is solipsism. She cannot see anything beyond herself. Totally self-absorbed, self-obsessed. And really the mate has no consequence, has no importance to her beyond what she can extract. It's basically what she could extract. She is a parasite, and a parasite looks for a host who has something to supply, and in a lot of ways it really doesn't even matter the details about the host. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the host is the appearance of the host, the age of the host. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Sure, women have preferences, of course. Of course they do. They have ideals, preferences. But a lot of times that cannot be realized, and they know it. And a lot of those preferences have no real importance to a woman, to her biological imperatives, which is the bottom line, of course. Those preferences have no value. What does have value is what supply she can extract. And as I've talked before, how quickly and how qualitatively the host can get her where she wants to go. And she knows where she wants to go. Genetically, they know where they want to go. At 14, they know where they want to go. Even if they're not aware of it. It's built in. Now, the reason a woman does not care, does not make it an imperative to pay attention and to put value other than utility upon her potential mate is because a woman doesn't derive her validation from the same source as a man does. Is that clear? It's a very important point. Very important point. This is where the inequality between the genders generates from. Everything generates from this point that I'm making. The source of validation. The source of validation for a man is the 3 P's. Protect, provide, and procreate. If a man gets those, has the privilege of realizing those 3 things that he can do for a woman and with a woman and to a woman, he will be validated. That's not how a woman gets her validation. And this is why you as a man, you as the male, you as the mate do not matter to a woman in a personal sense. And that's why there's no love from a woman. There's no true love from a woman because there cannot be. And that's why there's always love from a man, because there must be. Again, it comes down to validation and how the two genders procure or realize their validation. And the sources are completely different. So because women do not evaluate their potential mate in a personal way, they do not spend any emphasis on identifying what a man actually is. Women are not actually in pursuit of a man in the personal way that a man understands what a man is, in a way that a man respects and values the characteristics of a man. A woman doesn't do that. A woman doesn't see what one male sees in another male. A woman doesn't see that, doesn't see those traits, and frankly doesn't care about those traits. Only in terms of utilities, what she cares about. Therefore, what will be denied any man is devotion and loyalty, because it's simply an exchange, nothing to do with romance or love. That's the big lie, the big deception, the big hoax. And eternal shame for every woman, for they know that they're incapable of it. They're incapable because they're not built for it. They have no need for it. It is of no value for them to love or to be loyal or to be devoted, only if they have no options. If they can't do a better deal, then they stay. If they can do a better deal, they walk. So that is female relationship strategy, female sexual strategy. As disappointing as it may be to every man in the world. So what exactly is a man? How does a woman identify a man if she wanted to? In real life, as opposed to what they want him to be in their fantasy, the undeveloped female cannot differentiate between fantasy and reality when it comes to males, their potential mate, and relationships in general. They are undeveloped women who have not been developed by any man, regardless of the number of partners that they may have had. The whore is in fact an undeveloped female. Ignorance and inexperience with men regardless of how many male partners they may have had in their life, which could be numerous, many, a multitude. Regardless, they don't know men, and therefore they don't know how to choose or select a mate. And what often happens is they make mistakes, huge mistakes, and repeated mistakes. Women selecting a mate will take one of two erroneous directions, always based on satisfying their need for emotional comfort, which is, emotional comfort is emotional utility, and status gains, which is material utility, status gains. Both choices emanate from a woman's wish of a male displaying female nature as his basic personality traits and dominant characteristics. The first direction, number one, in female relationship strategy is to select a type B male. And if you don't know what that is, you should watch some of my previous videos. A type B male. And as I've mentioned before, men are either one of two personality types, type A or type B. Most men, the overwhelming majority, being type B. The type B male, which can be molded and controlled by her to her desire and determined duration. What that is a servant. She's looking for a servant. A servant will suffice. This is genetically programmed into every female to turn any male, every male, into a servant for her biological imperatives, which is also coded within her. There's no love involved here, guys. Forget about it. The type B male is the type of male which the female would settle for. Women settle for type B males. Even if the type B male is very attractive, the female still settles for the type B male because the type B male does not have, the type B male is missing something. Missing a key ingredient, the ability for her to have a spark. The type B male, the beta male, is missing the personality component, which is the ability to arouse her, to stimulate her, not only sexually, but in every other way. Stimulate her intellectually, stimulate her emotionally, mainly emotionally, and thus sexually he is unable to stimulate her. So he is relegated to the position of pure utility usage. And this could go on indefinitely. All the personality traits, or the specific personality traits, which will stimulate her, which will arouse the female. But the utility acquisition part overrides, supersedes the sexual arousal of the female. It will always do so. So the female will settle for the type B male, and countless do and have done in history. Countless females have done just that. In fact, most females are in that exact predicament of settling for a type B male. If you look around, you will see it. You will see it all around you. All those claimed and projected loving, successful, happy marriages. You gotta look below the surface, my friends. And now you will. A facade is nothing more than a facade. You will see female with a type B male. It's very, very prevalent. That nice guy beta male is missing the ability in order to stimulate and thus arouse the female. So from the very beginning, if she has options, if she has assets, his days are numbered. Even before he leaves the starting gate, he should know that his days are numbered. As soon as a better option presents itself for her. So she will settle knowing that she has no spark for the individual from the very start. This is why women, a lot of women, if they're honest, are going to come out and say that they've never been in love in their life. And I think for most males, that's a really freaky thing to hear, because we don't really know, we can't really comprehend that, how somebody can go into a committed relationship and feel no spark and not be in love. Not realizing that women cannot love. And having a spark is non-essential for a woman. Being in love, being aroused, having a spark is non-essential for anything to do with procreation when it comes to the female. All the female has to do is spread her legs and lie there. She was designed in that way for a reason. And the results are successful, efficacious. Now, males cannot function that way. They cannot function that way physiologically, of course, but also emotionally they cannot function that way because of their emotional makeup. So she has no spark from the start. And this is not the dream man. This is not the dream man of the female, but a vehicle by which she can escape her current situation and status and predicament. She can escape her parents. She can escape her dead-end job situation, her low income, her low status. all of the above. This male choice will eventually and invariably be discarded based on, well, when he becomes a liability. When he becomes a liability to her and no longer an asset, he will be discarded. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Here the woman is strictly in the relationship. Based on material utility, and would use considerable emotional deception to lure the man into commitment. The key word here is commitment. The woman is very much aware that the association will only last the duration she will determine. So she's in charge of everything from beginning to end. Right? In fact, she's in charge of your life, dude. Get used to it. Realize it. Know it. You are completely beholden to her. Completely. And if you make her some kid, you are really fucked. You won't get laid, but you certainly will get fucked. You won't get laid, but you will certainly get fucked. Right, girls? Now that's power. That's power! And society and the state is right behind you. Got your back, baby. Hillary Clinton and all the other lesbians in the lesbian movement will protect you from that nasty man. That nasty, nasty, deplorable pig who has abused you. And will confirm what a victim you really are. Exactly what you want to hear. When she finds an exit strategy which is more lucrative than the situation that she is currently in her association / relationship with the type B male, she will be out, gone, poof, with no remorse, no guilt, no emotion. The male should plan on a 10-year period of suffering from inflicted frigidity and non-existent emotional nutrition. If you don't know what emotional nutrition is, you better watch my previous videos. So, a few years of suffering with this woman that has no spark for you whatsoever. Oh, she's got your kids. But they're not your kids. Don't forget that. Her kids. You got nothing. She uses you for appearance, financial assets. But before being completely depleted emotionally, the male, this period before being completely emotionally depleted and materially depleted by the woman, before she throws you out. did a lot of writing on this. Is this a book you'd like to read? The second direction is to encounter a male who resembles her female fantasy. Now, this is the preferred direction that every woman wants to take. To encounter a man that fulfills her female fantasy. Female fantasy of what a male should be as closely as possible. What she thinks a man should be, according to her fantasy, as closely as possible. More precisely, what she deems a man's obligation must be to deserve her. To deserve her. This is the man who makes her feel very special and makes her feel as the only one. Wow. Now that's orgasmic to a woman, to feel that she's the only one. The only one for him in the world. In this situation, she is convinced she has found her dream man. Her dream man. And that's what he is. And a dream man, he certainly is. This man does not exist in reality, but has the skill to make her believe it is reality, that he is reality. This engenders a powerful spark within the woman towards this man. And she will open up completely, emotionally, and in terms of her own utility. She will hand her fortune over to him, more or less. The more he fulfills her fantasy. So this creates a tremendous spark within the woman, and she will consider herself in love as she never felt before, and certainly never will. She's in love. This is where the male sociopath can mimic a woman's irrational and naive expectations based on her powerful insecurities. So if you're a male sociopath, you've struck gold. The great manipulator is wishing to be manipulated. Give some more information on single undeveloped women and how they are in a situation which they cannot get out of because of this alienation between them and the male. And usually what these women do end up with is not a real man. Usually they end up with something that resembles a male in a male body, but someone who is actually not very far off from being female, because that's what the female knows. The female comes out of knowing herself and only knowing herself. I mean, we've talked about the preponderance of solipsism within the female, where it's two things. They don't know anything outside of themselves because they don't care to know anything outside of themselves. They're so self-absorbed every second in how they feel and how anybody, basically anybody, will make them feel. Much of their selection is based on how another individual, both men and women, and sometimes the distinction is much more fluid between men and women, how they approach men and women, as opposed to how men approach men and women as companions, friends, lovers, whatever. It's much more fluid in the female. And it's predicated upon how that individual, be it male or female or anything in between, doesn't matter. To some, to most, probably, most likely doesn't matter. What matters is how an individual makes a woman feel and what a woman can get, take, receive, or extract from any particular individual, be it male or female. In terms of materialistic and emotional utility, which also has the element, a very important element, of how this individual will make them feel about themselves. That's why judging a female is a very precarious act for anybody to engage in. And the beta male will not do that. The beta male is not judgmental. The beta male will not have the courage to be judgmental. That's why the beta male is much more likely to be selected by the female as a companion on any level. Be it the friend zone, or be it actually on a sexual level. Be it on at least an attempted sexual level, which more often than not turns into a disappointing attempt at having a sexual partner with the beta male. It's also important to mention at this time that the male sociopath is very adept at deceiving the female and to feign his interest and his admiration and exaltation of the female regardless of her actual value. The male sociopath can very easily feign cherishing any female, even if there's no sexual desire present or attraction. The male sociopath is a pathological individual and knows exactly how to manipulate the female the way she wants to be manipulated. It is also important to mention that the type A male is utterly unable to do that because he functions out of this basic sincerity, often brutal sincerity and directness, putting emphasis on the importance of accountability, which is a no-no, which is unacceptable for any female, especially the undeveloped single female. Being judged is unacceptable to any female. The true type A male, alpha male, is often overlooked and rejected by the female as being too harsh, too demanding, too judgmental, too critical. The type A alpha male works on the principles accountability, merit, and transparency. None of these a woman wants to face, making her feel bad about herself. The male sociopath, in fact, behaves very much as a female would, and is an actor who comes in and acts the role, and acts the specific exact role, precise role that the particular female that he's manipulating is seeking and expecting to see, expecting to find. She is asking to be played, to make her feel an exact specific way she wants to feel. So the male sociopath is very much a male with a lot of female characteristics and behaviors and tendencies, and uses female tactics to arrive at goals and results and incentives. For this reason, the male sociopath cannot be a type A alpha male. Just impossible. The alpha male is the antithesis of the male sociopath. So even though the alpha male makes or can make any female very uncomfortable and feeling not very good about herself, he will not harm her in that way, never. He will protect her and appreciate her as the submissive female. By the type B, beta male has a precondition, has a susceptibility to go into the role of the sociopath very easily, because he functions as a female, or can function as a female. So what are the incentives? What is the purpose? What is the goal? What does the male sociopath want to reach? What's he after? Now you got to remember that there's extremely few male sociopaths. So if you're a lucky woman, you're going to cross paths with a male sociopath and even have a relationship with one. And you're going to love him to death, because he's going to be your dream man. He's going to be the unexceptional man that doesn't exist. The type of man that any healthy male would look at and freak out, and wouldn't recognize and be able to tell right away that it's fake. But you girls, as smart as you are, you won't know the difference. That's why I keep saying to you, you have to know what a real man is. You have to instinctually know how to identify a real man, which is a healthy man. With all of his faults, there's a particular attitude, behavior, belief system, reaction, response, which may be offensive to you. And you may call it maybe misogyny. But what it actually is its healthy male nature. Nonetheless, a healthy male. And a healthy male is nothing like a female. A healthy male is nothing like a healthy female. Now, you will not see this displayed by the male sociopath. He will hide it from you. He will only give you what he knows you want to see. But you're not seeing a man. You're not seeing a real man. You're seeing a lie. Not unlike what women do with men within a relationship, especially at the beginning of a relationship. There is no compatibility between males and females. Start with that one as your baseline. Start with that one. Both guys and girls, both of you, start with that one. There's no compatibility between males and females. So if you're achieving some kind of a compatibility between yourself and your partner, or if you idealistically want to believe that that is what is happening or should be happening, or if somebody is trying to convince you that that is what they have in this mythical relationship that they want to make you believe that they have, you should know that there's something wrong. This is how I do counseling. Whenever I look at a couple, and if there's a claimed compatibility between the two, I know instantly that there's something wrong. Seriously wrong. Don't expect compatibility. If there is compatibility, it's not healthy. You gotta understand what healthy is. Healthy is not fantasy. Healthy is not something that's in a woman's imagination. Healthy is not something that a woman wants to deceive herself with. Healthy is only one thing, and that is reality. So the first thing you do is you strip everything down to reality. That's how I do my counseling. I strip it all down. I take away the myth. I take away the idealism. I take away the delusions, the hallucinations, and the fantasy. And I get it right down to the raw reality. And within reality, there cannot be compatibility between men and women. And that's the healthy, normal condition. Get that through your head. Now, if you get that through your head, you're going to be way ahead. Way, way, way ahead. And you're going to avoid a lot of disappointment and possible disaster. Life-altering, life-damaging disaster. So stop looking for a male. For a male that you will be compatible with. Or in terms of males, for a woman you will be compatible with. Doesn't exist. It shouldn't exist. It cannot exist. So women, stop looking for a male with female nature. A male with female nature? Are you fucking nuts? Is that what you're looking for? I know it's gonna make you comfortable and feel good about yourself and be compatible with. don't exist. So stop looking for female in a male body. Doesn't exist. Except for the male sociopath, who knows how to fake it and has no conscience about doing it. So, with the male sociopath, you're going to get your dream man, everything you've ever hoped for. You know why? Compatibility, exaltation, cherishing of the female. You know why? Because you're going to get female nature within the male body. You're going to get somebody who is unable and unwilling to love you because he doesn't care. He's only after one thing: it's utility. Unlike the real healthy man who wants to love you, and that's all he wants. What the male sociopath will give you is a healthy dose of female nature within a male body. Remember, it's the faking of emotion in order to reach a particular goal. So what is it that they want? What is that the male sociopath wants? Well, very different from what the healthy male wants. The healthy male will stop at one thing, which is female validation. It's enough. It's done. He'll do anything to get female validation. Now, the reason you girls get unlucky with the male sociopath is because he confuses you. It looks like a male, but he doesn't function as a male. The naive woman who's completely solipsistic and entrenched in her own emotional augmentation doesn't even realize that this creature doesn't actually behave like a man. He behaves the way you imagine a man in your fantasy should behave. And that's where you get fooled. That's where you get fooled. I'm talking about the male sociopath here. The male sociopath, he functions as a female. Don't you understand? You got a male that's functioning as a female. And that's why you're infatuated with this individual. And you're right, there's no male like him. It doesn't exist. You won't find a male like this guy ever, anywhere. And there's a good reason why. You don't have a male. You have a sociopath pretending to be a woman by adopting female nature in order to fool your ass. It's very interesting. Girls, speaking of girls, my lectures are now increasingly directed to women. Come on. Get on this channel and learn. It's for you. And If you're wondering about all this nonsense that goes on men's channels and this channel as well about women lacking conscience, women lacking emotional capacity, and to sum it all up, women being incapable of loving. Wow, that's a huge assertion, isn't it? That's major. There's nothing bigger than that. Declaring that women cannot love. Wow. And that's so threatening for any woman that they don't know what to do about it. It's totally contrary to the image that women that they have been perpetuating since the beginning of time. The female game, the mighty female game, has been debunked, busted, nullified, just by one statement. Women are unable to love. And pow! It's a huge light bulb for any male to realize that. It's an epiphany of unparalleled magnitude. Women cannot love. Well, the male sociopath cannot love either. But males, healthy males, they're in constant search of being able to love, finding the opportunity where they can love. You gotta make that difference, girls. You have to differentiate. You have to know how to identify a man. Women knowing that they cannot love, since their survival is paramount, it invariably brings on moral indignation. They don't know what to do about it. And they fight it. Women don't know what to do about it. It's huge. It's a huge accusation, is it not? It really lowers women in stature, in development as a human being, in value. It lowers them morally. It lowers them ethically. It almost makes them evil. And that's not the female image, is it? At least it's not something that's disclosed. This is where men are the most superior to women. Their emotional capacity, their ability to love unconditionally. Because conditional love, girls, is not love. It cannot be love. You can't love if you love conditionally. It's not love. It's not love. The only individuals who love conditionally are women and male sociopaths. And if you can love only conditionally, you are a liar and you're a whore. But I can't expect you to feel through the emotions of a man, of a healthy man. But if you want to know how a man feels in a relationship, there's a very good way to find out. You will get an exact illustration, evidence of that, by being in a relationship with a male sociopath. You will understand how a man feels being in a relationship with any woman. And if you've been in a relationship with a male sociopath, you know you got messed up. You got messed up big time. Because you were fooled. You were deceived. You were emotionally deceived. And that's called betrayal. And it's huge. That leaves an impact. Yeah. So if you want to know what female nature feels like to a man, you know it if you are or you ever have been in a relationship with a male sociopath. And you know exactly how the healthy male feels. No other way. If you want to understand the male sociopath, main reason he doesn't function as a male is because he doesn't want female validation. He's not after that. He doesn't care. What he wants is one thing only, and that is utility. And I mean material utility, and not emotional utility. And he goes after it without conscience. Again, essentially a female in a male body. He will do anything to manipulate you, to get your guard down, and to elevate your trust, the trust level in him. To elevate your trust to such an extent that you absolutely lower your guard completely. And then he's got you. Gotta understand, this is very different from the healthy male. And overwhelmingly, what you find out there are healthy males. And they're after validation. And the male sociopath is after utility. Wants to use you. Even if he doesn't want you or like you. Or if he doesn't get aroused physically, sexually by you, he will fake it. Because the male sociopath is a whore. Just like every woman. In fact, the male sociopath is very adept, and it comes very naturally to him to feign emotion, to fake emotion. The insincerity of emotion, remember we talked about that in the video entitled All Women Are Whores. And it is very accurate to state that the only male who can be labeled as a whore is the male sociopath. Because in fact, he displays the main characteristics of a whore, which is female nature. Yes, the characteristics of a whore is by definition female nature. And that's what the male sociopath is. And that's what the male sociopath exemplifies. A female in a male body. dream of every woman. The natural inclination and susceptibility of any woman over the rawness, uncivilized roughness of the healthy male, the alpha male. What does the male sociopath have in common with a woman? In common with female nature? This is it, and it's a big one. It's a profound similarity. The faking of emotion to reach a particular goal. The female manipulator starves to be manipulated and deceived. The deceiver needs to be deceived. It's where she derives her validation. The feeling of empowerment for a woman, be it real, be it imaginary, or be it fraudulent, does not matter as long as she gets her validation. Female validation being the augmentation and the maintenance of self-esteem. A woman with low self-esteem will commit all crimes against any individual. A woman with low self-esteem is a very dangerous individual. A woman with low self-esteem is an individual which will betray anyone and feel nothing inside. No guilt, no remorse. Her self-esteem is paramount. And the male sociopath will supply it. Governments know this, politicians know this, and the male sociopath knows this. However, the beta male is the most unthreatening type of male for the female, the closest to being female himself. The male sociopath is a female in terms of his character and personality and his relationship strategy. A female, essentially a female, is what a male sociopath is. Thusly, he is an actor, a scammer, using deception. It's what an actor does, uses deception by playing a role. As the female sociopath, the male sociopath plays a particular role detached from emotion. Remember, playing a role detached from his or her emotions. That's what a sociopath is and does. This is the reason why the results are emotionally devastating and emotionally so damaging to the victim of a sociopath. And this victim could be male or female. However, males suffer far worse because of their emotional makeup, their higher emotional capacity when compared to women. The betrayal has an everlasting impact from sociopath. The male sociopath which is very rare. Sociopathy is not a defining characteristic of males, but it is a defining characteristic of females, and an acceptable one. It's acceptable because it's defining, and it always has been defining, of the female sociopathy. So the male sociopath, which is extremely rare, like his female counterpart, the female sociopath, or females in general, which is definitive of all females, albeit variable in magnitude and severity, are predators and leave no closure for their victims for understanding and acceptance. And that's why the impact is so severe and damaging upon the victims of the sociopath. No closure. When they're done with you, with no explanation. They don't believe you're worthy enough, and it will no longer advance their interests to give you any explanation. So you're left abandoned, with the realization that you've been duped, so severely duped emotionally, and that's what kills you. It was all a big scam, and you thought that he or she loved you. Surprise! Surprise! Where do you go from there? Where do you go from there? You were left hanging. And you don't even know what the hell happened to you and why. And most likely, you will never, ever find out. Because there's no conscience involved on the side of the sociopath. Just want to mention a few things before I let you go here. Thanks for watching, and I really appreciate your donations. Those of you who take the time, make the effort. As you know, YouTube is becoming very difficult to get any return for all this effort, because now they're doing their censorship thing, and pretty soon, I mean, all these topics are going to be controversial, of course. And I don't know what's going on with that, but just to let you know, I was only paid once by YouTube, and that was about $100. And right after that, they stopped paying me, and that was what, about 2 years ago. Because I want to get paid to my US bank, but I'm a Canadian, so they really don't know what to do with that, and they just their whole system just is so inflexible that they just cannot deal with that request. So I really rely on your donations to support this channel. It's tremendous amount of time and work to put one of these videos together. The editing is very tedious, and It takes literally weeks to get a video completed, and I don't even know why I'm doing this. I mean, I'm getting no return for it, so I would appreciate if you guys did contribute and make it worth my while, and that would give me the incentive to do a lot more. I have a lot more cool topics for you coming up if you could do that. My original suggestion was that at least half of my subscribers to pay $1 per month, and some of you have been doing that. However, that only works if at least half of the subscribers do participate in that kind of a support plan. If only a handful of people do that, that doesn't pay, right? It doesn't amount to very much. So $1 a month is not a lot for this type of content, unique content. I give you my knowledge, I give you my unique perspective on human matters, and I'm not here unboxing cell phone cases or anything like that. I mean, this is serious stuff, as you know. It's very deep, profound topics. So I appreciate your support. Patreon is a good thing. PayPal is very easy to use. If you've never used PayPal, then you should get with the program and get a PayPal account. All the information is below every video that I make. Just follow those directions. It's very easy. An idiot can do it. So thank you to those who have contributed and who kept this channel going and gave me the incentive to keep going, and brought this content for all of you who have not contributed. So I hope that all of you will contribute at least $1, but it only works if a sizable number of people participate in that. So thanks again to those of you who have contributed. It really means a lot to me, and I will keep working hard to bring you this content. That's it. See you later.